2 Kings chapter 6, there's a wonderful passage that I'd like to share with you today. It paints, in my opinion, such a vivid picture of what many of us are facing in our Christian walk. I'd love to read this whole passage, but for the sake of time, I won't read everything, but let me just remind us of this story here. The king of Syria had declared war against Israel and had secretly set up an ambush. But time and time again, the Lord had revealed his battle plans, the enemy's battle plans, to the prophet Elisha. And finally, the king of Syria, he had all he could take, and he asked his servants, he said, "Which one of you are telling the king of Israel all of our battle plans?" And I love his servant's answer, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "It's not one of us, O king." He said, "But it's that old prophet Elisha. He's the one that's revealing everything that you've been talking about in secret." So when the Syrians found where Elisha was located, the king then sent his army out at night and completely surrounded the city. And so in verse 15 is where we pick up our reading. Let's read starting at verse 15. "And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, and hosts compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servant said unto him," this is talking about to Elisha, "Alas, my master, how shall we do?" And he answered," this is Elisha, "Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them." And Elisha prayed and said, "Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. Now, you Bible readers know the end of the story of how the Lord brought a great victory, but today I want to focus on Elisha's servant. I can just imagine that morning as the servant wiped the sleep from his eyes. What he saw no doubt made his blood run cold, because all around him, and according to the scripture, it was around the entire city, he saw the mighty Syrian army with all their horses and chariots. And that overwhelmed servant ran back to Elisha and uttered some words that reflect many of you, I believe it reflects many of you today in your own personal struggle. He asked, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, "What in the world are we going to do? Elisha, how are we going to make it out of this situation?" Now, I love Elisha's answer when he simply said just two words, "Fear not." I believe he could have told his servant, "Son, this battle or this situation is not as it seems, because you're looking through the eyes of flesh, and you need to be looking at this situation through the eyes of faith." And how do we know this? Because he prayed, "Lord, open his eyes that he may see." And today, I want to encourage you, I want to encourage a struggling child of God that your situation is not as it seems. And I believe that I'm talking to someone today who's staring at some undeniable facts, just as Elisha's servant. And right now, it seems like you're surrounded by bad news. You may even have the paper or the email that confirms those facts. But the Lord is sending you this devotion today, and I believe you need to make this your prayer. "Lord, I know what my natural eyes are seeing. My heart's overwhelmed by the facts. They're not things that I've made up in my mind. These are facts. But I need you, Lord, to open my eyes of faith so I can truly see that this battle is not as it seems." Now, I need us to recognize this thing too. A child of God will never win a spiritual battle by trying to pretend that the battle doesn't exist. Elisha's servant, he could have covered his eyes or buried his head in the sand, as we've often said. But it wouldn't change the fact that the enemy was still surrounding him. Those were the facts. And so we've got to identify the battle or the struggle, but we've got to allow the Lord to open our eyes to the heavenly host that's fighting for us. And as one song so wonderfully puts it, there are the facts, and then there's the truth. And the chorus says, the truth is you're not forsaken. The truth is you won't be denied. The facts may be stacked up against you right now, but the truth is, and we know who the truth is God is on your side. Friend, this battle is not as it seems, and you need to hear that today. We often look at the battle as something that is against us, when all along God is doing great things inside of us. And I read a quote by A.W. Tozer that said, God never uses anyone greatly until he has tested them deeply. So be encouraged today in this difficult place in your life. You're not forsaken. You're not forgotten. Just keep your eyes of faith open, and in God's time and in God's way, His will, you will come through with victory.